Hey guys, it's Pat here again. I want to make a quick video today going through how I was able to make my dream car purchase a little over a year ago. When all was said and done, it was about $50,000 with taxes and everything. And so I want to go into how I was able to make the money for this purchase in cash, and maybe you can glean something with the ways I was able to make money in college as well as before then, and just the strategies I went and employed in order to do this. Now I'd like to start off saying that yes, this was clickbaity title, thumbnail, but this is not clickbaity advice. I'm not trying to sell you a course or sell you some sort of magic way of making money really quick. These are all real ways that you can make money, and this is just what my experience has been. Hope you enjoy. As a side note, I would like to mention that everyone has different disadvantages as well as advantages in their background, and so I don't disregard those at all. I just am telling my story, and hopefully you can glean whatever you can from that. I do recognize that people have setbacks that they're born into. Now I know some people will jump on this video and be quick to disregard everything and just be like, oh, your parents bought it for you, something along those lines. But hopefully this isn't your initial reaction and you're able to watch it all the way through and make a decision about it. All of the ways that I made money in college, none of them had to do with any sort of background I had. They were all things that I went about after getting into college. In terms of things in high school, I know other people may have to support their own families when they're working, whereas I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to, and I was able to just save this money. So I recognize that I was fortunate in a lot of cases, but I would like to just describe my whole situation, and hopefully people can learn from this and be able to employ that when they get into college or before then as well. I would like to mainly focus on the ways I made money in college, as this was the vast majority of the money that I used in order to buy the car. I would say that in high school, I did do a lot of different, small-time side things in order to make money and save money. Some examples of this include mowing lawns, working at golf tournaments, building different things around the house, like fixing the gutters, building a fence in the backyard, just different things like that. So this was outside of the chores that I had to do. A lot of people that knew me in high school know that I didn't go out to eat a lot. I didn't really spend money on many things. I did play a lot of sports and my family supported me there, but I pretty much just saved money. And so I kind of was a loser in high school, I guess, but I was able to save that money in order to have fun later. So that's just the background on before college, but now I get into choosing college and then ways I made money in college. I do have a video on my channel that goes into sort of my college process, how I did different things in high school and the application process in order to figure out which college I wanted to go to. Most of the colleges I applied to were ones that offered either full tuition or full scholarship. I did apply to some reach schools, but that was sort of my methodology in choosing the schools that I applied to. I knew that securing a large scholarship to university or college would be a huge burden lifted off my shoulders in terms of just the extraordinary cost of education. And so a lot of things I did in high school, I just worked my butt off in order to get a leg up in the application process. Taking a ton of advanced class, whatever you can get your hands on, trying to get the highest grades possible, playing sports, extracurriculars, things like that colleges like to see. All of these weren't done in order to just go to college, but some of the things like putting in the extra effort were done in this nature. A lot of the things in this video you may see, since I'm focusing on the money side of it, that, oh, you just did this in order to get money. That's not the core root of everything. It's just that's what this video is focused on. When it came to making a decision on college, I had a pretty tough decision in front of me. I could go to something like USC or Notre Dame and probably be at this point hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, but I would have gone to an amazing school. Whereas I chose Pitt, which is still a great school, top 50 engineering, I think at the time when I accepted my offer there. She accepted it without even visiting there, so it's kind of just a leap of faith, if you will. But I sort of took into account that I didn't think it was worth the cost. Now I'll get into what happened in college in order to make the process such that I was able to afford the car. I would like to preface this with that my major was computer engineering, so I know that a lot of high-paid internships are specifically offered for the software engineering field. You might want to take that into consideration if you're figuring out what you want to do in the future. You can do pretty much anything with software engineering, but that's just my 2 cents. So I know a lot of these won't be specifically geared toward any field, but hopefully you'll be able to glean something out of everything. So my first major breakthrough was in my internship after my freshman year. In the fall of my freshman year, I went to the job fair after one of the clubs I was participating in. The president recommended that I just go there, hand out my resume, talk to different recruiters, and just figure out, if I was able to get an internship. I didn't expect much because obviously I'm a freshman, little to no experience, but I went there and it turned out that I found a company that was looking for young undergraduates in order to approach their firm and see if they could move to full-time after their college career. And so I really lucked out in finding this one firm. It was actually a law firm within Pittsburgh, and it was a lower paid internship, but I wasn't expecting much. I thought it was amazing pay at the time. It was $15 an hour. I ended up making about $7,000 that summer. A little side note to preface everything with the money amounts. I'm gonna give everything in a pre-tax, just lump sum amount, not taking into consideration the food that I paid for with it, as well as the housing and other things. I felt that this would be the best way to just keep it general, but obviously you do need to take into account how much taxes are gonna be for you, etc. Luckily for college students, you're not gonna get taxed way too much because you're not making that much money per year. Now, it was probably during the summer where I started thinking about what can I save up for, what should I shoot for in terms of my goal. I knew I wanted to have a car at some point. I didn't have a car then, so I wanted to save up for something nice, something that would be reasonable yet still really fun to go out and drive in. I'd always found a fun time in just driving around, and so I knew that that's something I want to set my sights on. Now, this next thing is something that most anybody can do in college, and it's probably one of the biggest savers of money and therefore contributors to being able to afford the car. And this was becoming an RA. Now, I didn't become an RA specifically for the money, but obviously if it's unpaid, a lot fewer RAs are going to be RAs. For those unfamiliar, RA is a resident assistant, and this is where you live in a dorm and you are essentially the community leader for your floor, or half a floor, or whatever it may be. So I really liked this mentoring opportunity. I thought it would build my social skills, my ability to work with other people, and in the meantime I was able to save a lot of money in terms of not having to pay for housing, as well as food. So that's two birds with one stone. Eliminated all costs associated with university, and I was able to get experience as well. So this was something that I applied for in my freshman year. I was able to get for my sophomore year. I was able to mentor freshman engineering students. So these are people in a place that I used to be in, so I could specifically help them and gear my advice toward them. So I saw this as a great opportunity. The next stroke of luck that I was able to come across in terms of making money in college was finding paid research. This is quite prevalent in terms of the software engineering field. I'm not sure what it looks like in other fields, but I received an email from one of my advisors, and it was going into how someone was looking for some software engineering developer, and it would be a paid position, and you'd get to engage in some cool work and get experience as well. Now, this was about $20 an hour, so this was after my freshman summer. I actually made about $2,500 in that fall semester. I forget how many hours a week I was working. It was probably somewhere around 10 to 15. That was probably the biggest struggle, I think. I can reference a text from one of my buddies who's also working there that might not have been the best experience at times, especially when I was doing schoolwork full time, taking the maximum amount of credits. I was an RA as well, and I was working part-time as a software developer. It kind of was pretty taxing on me. And I did this throughout the next year as well, into that summer. So that was probably the position that was most difficult, where I sort of made a sacrifice in terms of my well-being versus being able to save up more. Now, I sort of looked at this like I'm just gonna work until the summer and then I'm gonna stop working. And so I had in my mind the end date and I was done. And I knew that this would allow me to be able to purchase this car that I was looking at. But that just goes into how you have to make trade-offs. I mean, obviously, you're not going to want to work a minimum wage job, or certain internships aren't going to be that fun, but you just have to make the trade-off on whether the benefit that you're getting from it is worth the cost that it may be to you. But it worked out fine for me, and I'm glad that I stuck with it and endured it for the time being. I think it made me a better person. I am going through these different experiences and money amounts in tax years, so this would be 2018. During that time, just investing my money in the stock market, I was able to make $500, so it's not much, but just add that on to the balance. At this point, I would like to call out the methodology that my parents took in sending their kids to college and how I was able to benefit from this. I'm very grateful to them that they were able to save this amount of money for us. The way they approached it is that they would offer in-state tuition to each of the kids in going to school, no matter what school you chose. Looking at it in Tennessee, there's about $11,000 per year. So if I chose to go to University of Tennessee and I did not get any scholarship, my tuition would be covered by my parents. And I'd still have to pay room and board, etc. If I chose to go to Notre Dame, USC, or one of these more expensive colleges, I would still get the $10,000, but I would be putting that to the loans, and I would still have $50,000 more to pay each year. However, when you're looking at a full tuition or a full scholarship offer from another school, you realize you can just pocket this $11,000. If my parents told me that they were going to pay for my entire education no matter where I go, I might choose the place that I have dreams about, USC or something like that. And so I think that this was a good way to teach us sort of, if you work hard in high school and you get this full scholarship, you get to pocket the $10,000. But I think this really taught me the value of money and understanding that $10,000 is a lot of money, and if you look at colleges, they're $60,000 a year. That's a lot of money. Now for the people that are saying, oh, I told you so, you know, his parents gave him money for the car, obviously, like there had to have been something. I would like to mention that if this were not the case and I received no money whatsoever for any sort of education or anything from my parents, I still would have been able to buy the car 1 year later due to another internship. So I wouldn't say that, you know, this is, oh, gotcha, you got money. But I would like to call out that, yeah, this was a way that I was fortunate enough. Now, since I'm doing this by tax year and looking at 2018, the RA benefit was all put on 2018, even though technically one semester's in the fall, one's in the spring of the next year. So I'm going to put the $11,000 within that year, and that leaves us with $21,000 for the year of 2018. Okay, so now I'm going to try to run through 2019. There were a lot more sources of income in that time period. First, obviously, another $11,000 for being an RA and pocketing the money from my parents. Past that, I continued to work at the research gig. And during the fall, I only worked toward the latter half of the semester. But in the spring semester, I worked the whole entire semester and into the summer. I was actually able to make $6,000 doing that. And then as some small income earnings, I also made like $100 on YouTube, $200 as like an RA check bonus that they gave us, another $200 in the stock market. So very small earnings there. But just mentioning each of those. The biggest earnings came from the internship I got the summer after my sophomore year. And so I had been applying for this throughout the fall. And having that research opportunity that I had under my belt really helped me secure this software engineering position at Capital One. Another thing that helped was that since I had pursued like full credits every semester up until then, and I also had a lot of AP classes under my belt from high school, I had the opportunity of graduating in 3 years. Now, a lot of companies will look for you to specifically intern the summer after your penultimate year in order for you to go full-time the next year. Having the AP classes and taking a bunch of credits in order to make it such that I could graduate in 3 years really helped me secure this position. I would not have been able to get it without that. So that was another thing that just working really hard was able to allow me to get this position. The full compensation for this position, including, you know, housing and everything, what's on the tax forms, was about $26,000. Again, just giving you the raw amount. Now this blew my mind. I did not even understand at the time that, you know, software engineering interns at different companies were paid with, you know, such high compensation. They even offered subsidized food at lunches, and, you know, it's just mind-boggling to me how interns are paid that much, and I think it is pretty unique to the field. I recommend this to people that like this area or may have fun coding, but it's obviously not the only way to go. It's just my experience. So looking at the full year of 2019, I believe the total comes out to $43,500. Adding together 21,000, you get $64,500. Taking out everything from that and then taking into account savings before, this is what allowed me to buy my $50,000 dream car. Hopefully you can take bits and pieces of my journey in college and before college, sort of apply that to your situation. It could be you already graduated or you didn't go to college, you know, any sort of situation. Set a goal, a financial goal, and if you have your sights on that and you're saving a lot of money, you're not, you know, spending it willy-nilly, doing stupid things with your money, keeping everything in check, investing, etc., you can achieve something like this and you can make your dreams into reality. Now, when I got close to purchasing the car, in actuality, and I had the money, I wasn't sure about it. You know, I was questioning whether it was actually worth it. I could just invest the money, and then down the line, I would have a lot more, obviously. And I had friends that discouraged it and said, you know, you shouldn't buy it. Do you really need it? But I'd looked at it for so long, and throughout my working life, when I was able to make money through high school and college, I'd always been saving money and putting off fun until later. I didn't want to always live like that, so I hunkered down and made the purchase, and I would say I have no regrets a year later. I still have a lot of fun with the car, getting up to speeds of like 70 miles an hour, just having a blast with it. And for anybody that cares, it is a manual. I made sure of that. I recommend setting financial goals, sticking to them, having fun along the way, and then, you know, making enough to where you can be generous as well, just achieve different goals you have in your life. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you made it all the way through, be sure to leave comments if you have any questions or anything else, and I'll be sure to respond. Like and share, subscribe if you want. Thank you. Have a good one.